welcome to today's exciting video. This has been in the pipeline for a while now. I've actually hinted about it in a few of my past videos. But basically today's video is going to be about a detox challenge that we are going to take on together as a community. And this is basically the only way to detox those man-made, stubborn chemicals that are stuck in the body. Fat-attracted chemicals, but we will get into that. I am going to explain the science behind it and everything, but first I want to talk about what we're doing as a community so that if you don't want to hear all the technicalities about this detox and why you should be doing it, if you are ready, that is, you've got to decide that for yourself. If you don't want to hear about those details, I will just start off by telling you a little bit about what we are going to be doing, and then I'll get into all of the technicalities and science behind it. I am not an expert. I just want to put it out there. I learned this all myself recently, and I've been wanting to do a detox at this point of my healing because I do know that I still have a lot of toxicity in my body from the medications, from all types of things. You know, I used to use a lot of products. Now I live a toxin-free lifestyle as much as possible, but you can't avoid toxins, of course. But before I wasn't so aware of that, and that is part of the reason why we become so sick, especially people who have the MTHFR gene. And often people with diagnoses like Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, autoimmune disease, these types of diagnoses, often we do have the gene that makes it difficult for us to detox. But this video is not about that. Firstly, let's get into what exactly we're doing as a community here. We are going to do this detox together as a community to support each other through and to stay in touch, just to have somebody to talk to and to see how other people are doing and to share our experiences and to have some support and backing and to know that we're not alone, we're doing it together. So if you are going to be joining us, we will have a group, a WhatsApp group or something where we're all in contact. It'll be a 30-day challenge. 30 days is recommended, but you can do 15 days, depending on what you feel is right for you and for your body. But also, we will be having a coach doing it with us, and he is actually the person who owns clinics around the world. They're looking into expanding around the world where they do this detox. They specialize in it, and his father is actually the one who repurposed this protocol to treat people who work in very toxic environments. So like rescue workers, and for example in 9/11 there were a lot of people who were extremely toxic from the rubble, like the victims and the rescue workers, and so they opened up free centers to treat these people, to detox them from all of these chemicals that their bodies had absorbed and they had breathed in, from all of the debris and the chemicals from the building materials that they were soaking in. We will be under the care of an absolute expert who has treated so many people with this protocol, and they have it down to a T. So if you run into any problems or anything, you do have the advice of an expert. I'm not the expert. I'm going to be doing it along with the rest of the group, but I'll be there to support everyone and to share my experience too, as I always do. So who will benefit from this protocol? People with chronic fatigue syndrome benefit greatly from this protocol because it's about addressing toxicity within the fat cells, and mitochondria are produced within the fat cells. So when you clean up the fat cells, you improve your mitochondrial function and production. Then people who have been on long-term medications like antibiotics, for example, people with things like Lyme disease and co-infections or bacterial infections, or who are on chronic medications, these are all man-made chemicals, and it's important that we detox properly from them because our bodies are not able to expel them naturally. People with things like breast implant illness, also man-made chemicals that have been leaked into the body that our bodies don't know how to process or get rid of properly. People who have done an MRI scan or multiple MRI scans, the contrast dye that they use for MRI scans, gadolinium, is one of the most difficult toxins to get out of the body, and often you need to repeat the protocol in order to get rid of this in your body because it's one of the most stubborn toxins and the hardest ones to get out. People with fibromyalgia, joint pain, muscle pain. This is often due to a build-up of toxins in the body, obviously along with a whole lot of other factors, but this is definitely going to benefit you. And people who are preparing to get pregnant will also benefit greatly from this, as well as their newborns will benefit greatly from this, because we are walking around with an average of 700 toxic chemicals in our body at any given time. And newborn babies who have been tested for these toxic chemicals are often carrying around 200 of these toxic chemicals, just completely newborn. This is obviously being passed on from the mother, and so if you are planning on getting pregnant, it is actually very beneficial for yourself and for your baby to detox beforehand. So if you're pregnant, you'll also benefit from this. Extra little perks is that it aids in weight loss, and that stubborn toxic fat can be utilized more easily. And in a typical 30-day program, you'll be getting rid of around a third of your body's toxic load. And we're talking about man-made chemicals here. I will go into more detail, but just know that it's around a third. So it's not full. You would have to repeat the protocol a few times, but that's still a good amount. That's still a good amount, and it's a good first step. So you should be feeling significantly better after the first round. But obviously, if you're extremely toxic, it's going to take a few rounds and some time. And obviously, just be gentle with yourself. Take it slow. That is always the best way to do it. Take it slow and be gentle. The benefits of completing this detox are as follows. You'll feel better and look younger. You'll have greater energy and improved overall health. Your brain fog will be lifted and improved. And they've actually done IQ tests on participants before the protocol and after the protocol, and their points went up by an average of 10 points after this protocol. So it greatly improves your cognition and brain function. You'll have more restful sleep and more controlled weight, reduced aches and pains, and prevention of disease in the future. You'll have better skin and body scent, a heightened perception of your senses. So you'll taste more vividly, you'll smell more vividly. Toxins actually hinder our senses, and they also hinder our emotions. So you'll have a happier attitude. Obviously, if you're feeling better, you feel happier, but you'll be able to access that joy and good feeling more easily. You'll have better coordination and muscle control and enhanced stamina. So these are just a few of the benefits, and as I always say, it's not just one thing that's going to get you well. So if you're feeling really awful, have a look at my previous videos, and I do speak about nervous system regulation and the importance of healthy living, healthy lifestyle, and all the top tips to healing in those previous videos. This is just an additional practice to get rid of those old toxins that are keeping you down. And really, everyone should be doing this protocol at some point when they're ready, because we're all exposed to really harmful chemicals in our world today. If you want to see more about that and where these chemicals are coming from, I do have an article on detoxing on my blog. I will link that below. It also contains tips on how you can avoid toxins and how you can clean up your lifestyle. I will also be doing a video version on that in the future. So a little bit more on the program. It was initially founded for drug addiction, which is very interesting because obviously drugs, medications, they have man-made chemicals in them which are fat attracted, and the body cannot get rid of these chemicals easily. It's very difficult for our body to get rid of these chemicals and expel them. So they were finding that patients were having rebound symptoms even when they were clean, and this is because the toxins were being stored in their fat and they were recycling those toxins going to their brain. And so that would trigger almost like a relapse, with the residues going back to their brain and causing imbalances again, which would obviously in turn cause cravings again and relapses. So in order to get their bodies and brains truly healthy, they had to go much deeper and detox properly so that these residues were no longer getting recycled within their body and causing problems. And when I get into the technicalities, I'll explain more on how that happens. So the coach that we'll be doing the protocol with, Dan Root, his father is the one that repurposed this protocol to treat people working in very toxic environments or victims of disasters. He also has a Facebook group that you can check out. I'll link it below. It's called Sauna Detoxification using Niacin, and that is the protocol that we will be doing. So basically, we will be taking niacin and using heat to sweat out the toxins. And they have dubbed the term detoxination instead of detoxification because toxins is a very, very broad term. And the word detoxification is used for so many different purposes. And we are specifically talking about detoxing these man-made chemicals that our bodies don't yet know how to expel and deal with and break down. So I just want to also put a little disclaimer here. All of this information that I'm sharing with you comes specifically from Dan Root. I did have a one-on-one meeting with him. I am a part of the Facebook group. I do watch his videos that he posts. They're very, very informative. So I highly recommend going to watch his videos. And all of this information that I'm sharing with you, I've learned directly from him, his group, his videos, and talking with him one-on-one. We actually had a very long conversation one night. It was a wonderful conversation, so informative. I really enjoyed learning from him. He's such a fascinating man. So niacin is basically just a vitamin. It's vitamin B3, but it does come in different forms. So it's a micronutrient and it's usually prescribed for high cholesterol, heart health, skin conditions, mental conditions, and more. It has a side effect that's very well known, and that side effect is known as flushing. So basically your skin turns really, really red. And this is not dangerous, but it's actually what we are trying to achieve in this detox. We want that flush. You might have already heard of NAD or NADP. These are also used for detox purposes, and a lot of clinics offer them in IV form. They charge a lot of money to be able to do these detoxification IVs, and they sell them as like anti-aging detox protocols. But niacin is actually the precursor of NAD and NADP. And it's completely natural. You find it in many foods. And there is actually an existing disease from, sorry, my doorbell just went, but I'm back. I was saying that there's an existing disease that is actually caused from niacin deficiency. And this disease affects your skin and your digestive system and your nervous system. So it's very rare, but niacin deficiency can cause these issues. So what does niacin do to the body? Around 15 to 20 minutes after you ingest niacin, you'll get this niacin flush, is what they call it. And the flush is caused by a hormone called prostaglandin. And this hormone smooths the muscle cells in the walls of the blood vessels and capillaries. I'm no expert or scientist, guys. So I'm just repeating what I've learned. But if you know anything more, you have any extra information on this, please do comment down below. And if I'm saying anything wrong or you want to make a correction, please do let me know down below. So the important thing to know is that niacin doesn't detox you in itself. But we will get into how we use it to detox in a bit. The flush lasts about 45 minutes. And it's also important to know that it can cause mast cells to become active. So if you have mast cell activation syndrome to a severe degree, I would recommend speaking directly to Dan about this. He's the one with the experience with patients. If you have mast cell activation syndrome that hasn't been life-threatening in the past, like myself, I have mast cell activation syndrome or have had. I have struggled with symptoms from it in the past. But in this protocol, I'm quite confident that it'll be all right because you can take a high dose of vitamin C to counteract this reaction. And you also build up your niacin dose very, very slowly so that your body can get used to it and adapt. It's all about gently. Always all about doing it gently. So you get different kinds of niacin, and you'll see some articles saying that niacin can cause liver problems. That's only a certain type of niacin. It's not the one that we use. You also get non-flushing types of niacin. So you have to make sure that you're using the right type of niacin, the flushing type. and it's called nicotinic niacin. Certain types also have extended release times or immediate release times. So it's important that you're using the right type of niacin when undergoing this protocol, and that's why it's so important that we are doing it along with a professional. This video is not to be put out there for people to just say, okay, I can do niacin and then sit in a sauna and do this protocol. No, you have to do it alongside an expert who knows exactly how to do it and exactly what to do for your body. Just a quick note on what else niacin is used for. If you just use it alone, you're not using it in this protocol, you're just taking niacin as a supplement. It helps arthritis and osteoporosis. It helps mental disorders such as depression, anxiety, and even schizophrenia. And this pellagra disease that is caused from niacin deficiency, one of the symptoms that they discovered in patients was actually schizophrenia. And when they started treating them with niacin doses, the schizophrenia would resolve. So that is very interesting. It also helps control your cholesterol because it raises HDL cholesterol. So it helps clean out the plaque in your arteries. It boosts your metabolism. It boosts your human growth hormone levels. It increases your performance by improving blood flow to your muscles. It helps you to fall asleep, and it has so many more functions. So it's a really, really good vitamin to be taking or to be getting through your food sources. So what is the secret to using niacin in this detox protocol for detoxing if it doesn't detox you directly? Okay, so first let's talk about what a toxin is. This is so important. So the definition of a toxin is a poison or venom of plant or animal origin, especially one produced by or derived from microorganisms and causing disease when present at low concentration in the body. Then you have a xenobiotic, which is relating to or denoting a substance, typically a synthetic chemical that is foreign to the body. So when we talk about detox here, we are actually talking about detoxing xenobiotics, not really toxins, because toxins will involve anything natural even. But a xenobiotic is specifically a synthetic chemical that is foreign to the body. And our body does not know how to detox this. This would include things like heavy metals. And these sort of toxins, they could have been injected, they could have been inhaled, or they could have been absorbed through the skin or ingested. So often our foods actually contain these chemicals. Okay, I'm gonna need my notes for this one too, because it's quite complex for me. So there are two classifications of toxins. Hydrophilic, which is a water-soluble toxin. So these toxins are readily excreted in urine or feces. And then you get lipophilic, fat-soluble or fat-loving toxins. So they're attracted to fat. And these toxins must be biochemically altered into water-soluble compounds before excretion. So these are the toxins that we are dealing with here. So they're not easy for the body to excrete. They're not easy for the body to process. They're not easy for the body to get rid of. And the body's natural detoxification process involves two phases so that it can excrete them easily. And the liver is not the only organ in our body that's role is to detox. Detox takes place in the liver, in the GI tract, it takes place in the brain, and it takes place from the skin, as well as the lungs and the kidneys. So, in phase 1 of our body's detox process, our body breaks down the toxins, and then in phase 2, our body packages these toxins up so that they are safe to pass through the kidneys and our other organs without causing damage or havoc. And often, these man-made chemicals don't get past phase 1 because they often actually get more dangerous to the body during this breaking down process. And so, they just keep swirling around and going through the same process and going through the same process until the body doesn't know what to do with them. And since they are fat attracted, they go and they settle and make a home for themselves within our fat cells in our bodies. And you might be thinking that you don't have a lot of these toxins in your body, but everybody does, because the fact of the matter is they are in most of our products that we buy in the store. And the fact of the matter is that most of these products have not been fully tested for human safety. That's the truth. So with all of these new man-made chemicals, our bodies have not had the time to be able to adapt and to figure out how to process these toxins. Now, a scary thing for those of you who struggle with cognitive function, I'm actually struggling a bit with that today, getting all these facts across to you, but something to think about is that our brain is 60 to 70% fat, which means that many of these toxins are settling within our brains. And this is why we are struggling so much with cognitive functions. They are managing to get through the blood-brain barrier, and they're also settling in our pineal gland, which affects our hormones and just puts our bodies completely out of balance. So it's no wonder that we are not in equilibrium with the lack of education on nervous system health and toxins. We also really need our fat cells to be healthy for energy production. Our mitochondria come from within our fat cells, so we really need to clean up these fat cells in order to feel energetic. So what products exactly contain these toxins that you probably have within your household? Common cleaning materials, makeup and beauty products, aerosol sprays, carpets and furniture, tap water and bottled water from the plastics in the bottled water, toxic foods and drinks that contain things like MSG, aspartame, high fructose corn syrup, antibiotics, mercury, additives, preservatives, BPAs, and glyphosate, which is one of the most harmful chemicals that our foods today contain. And actually, since the introduction of glyphosate in our foods, we have seen disease spike by an insane percentage. Things like autism, autoimmune diseases, cancers, all of it. It's become so much more common since the introduction of glyphosates. So now that we understand the types of toxins we're dealing with and what they do within the body, we can get directly into how niacin aids in this detox process. So, if any of you have felt this effect, I felt it before. When you do strenuous activity or you talk too much or you do some exercise, you suddenly feel super nauseous and headachy and just really poisoned. You feel really toxic. And this is because of the process that's happening within your body when you're doing strenuous activity. Sorry about the noise, there's drilling above me, but I'm just going to talk through it because it is not stopping anytime soon. So this process is called lipolysis. I'm going to get my notes out for this one because we're getting a little bit technical now here for me again. If you look at Dan's videos on his Facebook group, he has like little animations and everything for this to make it easier to understand, and I understand it more visually. So, you know, hearing him explain with the animations and the examples, I understand it like much better there. So I'm going to leave the link to his Facebook group down below, and do go and have a look if you want to learn more about it, like more of the technicalities. So basically, lipolysis is a splitting of triglycerides contained within the fat cells into glycerol and fatty acids for ATP energy production. As these fatty acids leave the cell, so as they leave the fat cell, they split and they leave the fat cell, fat stored toxins are drawn out, which is a slight detox. So basically, as lipolysis takes place within your fat cell, it releases glycerol and fatty acids in order to aid with your body's energy production. But as these things are being released from the fat cell, so are the toxins which are stored within the fat cell. So when you're doing strenuous activity that demands energy from your body, and your fat cells are trying to give you energy and produce energy within your body, you're actually also releasing toxins. So that's why you get that toxic feeling when you've exercised or you've done strenuous activity. It's because your body is releasing the toxins and they're circulating within your body with nowhere to go, remember. So what niacin does is while your body is metabolizing it, it depresses this lipolysis process. So your body is not releasing anything from the fat cell while you are metabolizing niacin. However, once it is done metabolizing niacin, it starts to overproduce and it overshoots by 200%, which means that it's releasing 200% more toxins too. And this is where we hit it, because it takes 3 hours for niacin to metabolize and wear off. So we have a window period to work with here. So this is when the toxins are being liberated from within the fat cell. We're able to now access these toxins and draw them out. So we use niacin, we use some form of exercise. Now I know that if you have chronic fatigue, this is really difficult, and he says not to worry. We do have a way to deal with that. He does work with people who have exercise intolerance. I'm one of those people, so it will involve some movement or stretching or something like that. He'll work with you. So it involves niacin, it involves exercise, and it involves a sauna to get it out of the skin. So the exercise gets the liberated toxins to the dermis of the skin, where the sweat glands can access them and they can be released through the sweat glands. And then obviously the sauna is used to produce a heavy sweat so that we can get as many toxins out as possible that have been liberated. You have to get the timing right, so the protocol is very specific. And during this sweat, it's not your typical like watery sweat, it's like an oily sweat. So if you've had an oily sweat before, then you know that you've succeeded in getting some of those fatty toxins out. Another thing to know is that you spend a significant amount of time in the sauna during this protocol. And if you are concerned about EMF exposure, Dan does recommend specific saunas that are low in EMF. I also use orgonites to limit my EMF exposure. So I have orgonite necklaces that I wear, and I put orgonites within my sauna. Then also part of the protocol is you take electrolytes to keep you hydrated. So he has electrolytes that he recommends. They're mostly available in the USA. I'm not in the USA, so I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to get electrolytes from another source, but his protocol is very solid and he's very experienced with it. So if you can access the electrolytes that he recommends, I do recommend you follow that rather. I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently, but under his guidance, of course, only because I can't access it easily over here. So these are things that we're going to have to prepare with. We're going to have to get stocked up on these things, and we'll have all of the information on the group, and we'll have our sessions with Dan too. The other thing that I wanted to say is that this protocol is basically the only protocol out there that gets deep within the fat cells and targets these man-made toxins. But it does involve a lot of commitment. So it's a 30-day protocol. You can do 15 days, but you'll be doing this cycle every single day of the protocol. So it's not a walk in the park. It's not easy. Please listen to your body and see if you really are ready for something like this. It takes a lot of commitment, but we're here to support you, and you do have professional help along the way if you're doing it along with us. I really hope that I've made this video clear enough, and I really hope that I've included enough information for you all. If you are interested in joining our group and taking on this detox challenge, I am going to leave my Instagram below, and you guys can contact me on Instagram. Send me a DM on Instagram. I always read my direct messages. Sometimes I'm a little bit slow in getting to them, but obviously with this detox underway, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be reading all of your messages. I'll make sure of it. And then I will add you to the WhatsApp group if you are really serious about taking it on. And if you guys just want to find out a bit more about it and you want to have a one-on-one talk with Dan, you can do so too via his Facebook group, which I'll link down below. I'll link all of the resources that I've mentioned down below so that you guys can do the full research. You can really get a good idea of what you're getting yourself into here. For me, I feel like I'm at that stage now where I'm strong enough to take this on, and I know that there are like some leftover toxins that I really want to get out of my body to just improve my energy and bring my health now to that next level. And I am looking so forward to doing it with this wonderful community. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my inbox. I hope to see you in the group, and I will see you in the next video too.